Hey, I don't even know if I know how to work this thing anymore. I don't know if I'm level. But what's up, guys? It's your boy. I'm back after 6 months. I know I have a lot of explaining to do, and trust me, there's been a lot going on. But I promise you, we're gonna stay consistent this time. I'm gonna at least try to get one video a week out for you guys. I've got plans. I've got big plans. This YouTube thing, it means the world to me. It's something that I need to do for myself, and it's something that I just need to pursue. It really makes me happy. It makes me happy getting to interact with you guys, and just the love and support that I have from friends and family alike. We're not big or anything, but the fact that I can share my journey, and one day even my kids could look back on this and be like, Dad, you did this, or I don't know, but it's just something. If it turns into something, that's great. That's what I've always wanted. But if not, then I've really got the memories with great people that I meet through this community, the friends, and might give my family some good laughs. So I promise I'm going to try to stay consistent. We've got a lot more projects on our hands than we did when I saw you guys last. We're actually about to go work on the MIATA. The water pump bearing is going out in it, so I have a full water pump and timing belt kit. We're going to get that on today. My good friend Bryce actually came down to help me with that today. So it's October 23rd. It's around 8:15. I don't know why I looked at my non-existent watch, but it's around 8:15. And I'm incredibly thankful for him, and I'm incredibly thankful that he came down for me. Before this video starts and we get out there and actually work on the MIATA, go ahead and pause this video. I'll be around. I'll be immortalized in this on this website and through this memory card. But pause the video and go and tell the people you love, or if you're watching this with your family, go ahead and tell them how much they mean to you and how glad you are to have them in your life, because that's just something I've come to realize it's very important. I'll be back, and then when you see me back, we'll be at the MIATA. So here is the timing belt kit or water pump and timing belt kit from Fab 9 Tuning. Big shout out to those guys because they actually hooked me up. I believe I spoke with Jason on the phone. I actually ended up doing this super last minute, and they offered from Michigan. They got next day shipping for me, so at the flat rate. So that is crazy. I just want to give a huge shout out to them. So on the left here, we've got the actual Gates timing belt kit with the tensioner and spring and stuff that we'll need. We've got our accessory belts for the alternator and the water pump and AC. And then we've got they send you a valve cover gasket, they send you your cam and crank seal, and this is from actually Ben's used MIATA parts. It's a speed sensor. Mine is broken. I constantly read 0 miles per hour. And then we have the water pump from Fab 9 Tuning. So I believe the first thing we have to do is get our crossover tube for our mass airflow sensor. Just get all the vacuum lines off and get the radiator hose, get the radiator out, and then we'll go from there. So we'll see you on a bit. So now we've got the radiator out here. We've got all the intake piping and whatnot off. If you have your factory under tray on, you'll have to take that off. As well as if you have AC like I do in my car, you'll have a couple of 10mm brackets that hold on to the bottom of the radiator. So now we just gotta get the valve cover off, get the spark plug wires out, get your PCV valve out, unhook all your vacuum hoses and stuff, get the valve cover out, and then we should have access to the timing cover. And then we'll have to get our accessory belts off. Let's see for the focus. Yeah, our accessory belts off and stuff, so we can get to the water pump pulley and all that good jazz. So we'll see you guys in just a second. Alrighty, you got the valve cover off, got all the bolts back in there. You got your thermostat housing off, and we'll have to go run to O'Reilly's and pick up a gasket when we do reassembly. So like I was saying, we're gonna get ready to remove our accessory belts, but before you do that, it's a good time to go ahead and remove these 10mm, not remove them, but crack them loose, the 10mm bolts on the water pump pulley itself. So as one falls out. Okay, so as you can see, we have all our belts off now. So what we got to do now is take the water pump pulley actually off, and then there also are 10mm bolts in the crank pulley itself for the dampener. So you can get those off, and then once we have those off, we'll show you guys the next step. Alrighty, so as you can see here, we have the 3 bolts out of the water pump pulley and the 4 bolts. I have a 90, so it's a short nose crank, so it may be a little bit different on yours. I don't have any crank wobble though, thank God. So the 4 bolts out of there. It's real rusty, and then there's the water pump pulley as well. So now we're on to the next step. What we've got to do now is we have 10mm bolts here, 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 here. You've got some hidden here, here, one here, and there's another here. And you'll take those off, and that'll give us access to all the timing components and the water pump. So we're gonna get that off, and we'll be right back. So now we've got all of the timing covers off here. So now the next step is to pull out the #1 spark plug and get a zip tie or get a screwdriver and place it in there gently, and and turn the crank pulley until you're at top dead center, also known as TDC. Alright, we got the spark plug out now. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this screwdriver here, gently put it in there, and we're gonna turn the crank bolt down here until the screwdriver gets at its highest point. As you can see, it's going up. So once it starts going back down, you want to turn it to loosen and get it back to its highest point. So there, we're at TDC, we believe, and then you can check your marks. If you look at the mark on the timing cover and the notch on the crank sprocket, we are at TDC, exactly dead nuts in the middle. So you want to leave that there, and I'll show you guys what's next. So today we're going to be doing our cam seals. So we'll have to take our cam gears off. So what we have to do is lock the engine at top dead center, and to do that you can either buy a kit that would lock the cam gears and stop the engine from rotating as you're working on it. But what we're going to do is a method I've seen a lot of, and that's taking 2 very large crescent wrenches, and on your actual camshafts themselves, they have a place for it, and you're going to put them on there adjacent to one another and use vice grips to actually lock them in place, so it prevents the engine from rotating. So I actually went and bought some very large crescent wrenches just for this purpose, and I'll demonstrate how we're going to do that. Alrighty, so we're going to take off these coolant lines here, because you have to take these off in order to get the timing belt actually off. And then also we're going to take the crank bolt off. Alright, so we got the crank bolt off. I don't know if I said it or not, but you have to put it in 5th gear. Rip the heck out of the e-brake. And then the next step is to take off the timing belt, which you loosen the 14mm bolt that holds the tensioner on. And then you should just be able to remove the belt. There's also a spring back behind there that helps keep the tension on it, and we'll see you guys once we get those off. Alrighty, so you're gonna get your tensioner off. Let me zoom you guys out. You're gonna get your tensioner off, and we're currently taking the idler off. The belt is also off, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but this was an effective way to lock out the cams when we had to yank on that crank bolt, and it didn't move an inch. So that's all good in the neighborhood. Now we've got the idler off, and mine were a little bit rusty, so but they're not loud or anything. So someone has been in here before to do the timing belt, but I guess the water pump just failed after this thing. As you guys know on the channel, it's sat for 10 years. So this step is optional if you're just going above and beyond, like I'm just trying to learn to do. We've got to take the cam gears off.
to do the cam seals, and then the we've already got the crank sprocket off, as you can see down there, to do the crank seal, so the front seal, whatever you want to call it. So what you're going to do is you're going to get on here, rotate it loose, and hold on to the right crescent wrench and twist them against each other. Okay, so after your big strong muscles or big strong muscle gun, yeah, ours were extremely too tight for some reason. So you just hold on to the vice grips and just barely, don't go crazy like you're taking off lug nuts or anything, but just barely do it. It's probably a lot of people gonna disagree with me in the comments, but you know. Off here.
Fucking MIATA purists.
Alright guys, so right now we're just cleaning up the crank, around the crank area, because we still had coolant in the block when we took off this really just crusty water pump, and you can tell the bearing is bad. You can hear how crunchy and nasty it is. So what we're going to do now is get the old seal out of the crank, and then we'll get the new one in, and then we'll attack the cam seals as well. So okay, so we've got the new cam seals in and the new crank seal down there. It is flush, and then we went ahead and just took the cam caps off just to slide those on easier without much fuss. So we're gonna put those back on right now, and then we'll get back to you guys. So now we've got the cam caps back in, and huge shout out to Fab 9 again, because this water pump seems to be high quality. It's actually Gates brand, which is something that I really like. They include all the gaskets and the O-ring for the heater hose hardline. That seems like it's going to be a pain in the ass to get on. Okay, we got that O-ring on that heater hose hardline. I recommend strongly to have a friend, someone pull the actual outlet for the water pump, and then you or the person with the smaller hand pull the heater hose. And because without that, I mean, unless you got small hands and you're big and buff, I mean, because that's real rough. But okay, so now we're gonna put the gasket on the water pump, and then we're going to put put 2 bolts through the top, and then put the water pump on. Let me zoom out for you guys. So put the gasket on, put the 2 bolts through the top, and then place the water pump on, and just hand tighten those bolts. So we've got the new water pump on, and now the thing to do is put the new back plate on. We've got our new cam seals in, we've got our new focus. We got our new crank seal in there. We'll put the timing back plate, and it's all just about reassembly now. Everything's in. We got that O-ring, we've got new water pump, so ain't nothing to it but to do it. I've lost a few clips, but here we go. We've got the new idler pulley, we've got the new tensioner, we've got the water pump on, we've got the crank gear on, but we haven't tightened up the crank bolt. We've re-put the cam gears on, and now we just put the timing belt on, as you can see. So now we've got that on, and we're just gonna make sure everything's in time. Alrighty, we got the engine all timed and everything. We've gone through a few cycles and whatnot, but I had to make a quick part store run to grab a new thermostat, a thermostat gasket, and I got some heater hose to replace the nasty, broken, old, just crusty hose that goes to the thermostat housing itself. So I'll just have to cut that to length, and yeah, we're gonna throw that on and get to reassembly. So okay, we've got all the timing covers on now, and we've got the thermostat housing and new thermostat and gasket installed. Now we're putting the harmonic balancer on, and Alrighty, so we got the 4 10mm bolts to get the harmonic balancer on, and then the 1, 2, 3 10mm bolts to get the water pump pulley on. And now we put the belts back on, and we put the valve cover gasket on. The valve cover, the new one that came with the Fab 9 kit, shout out Fab 9. We put all the vacuum hoses, PCV, and airflow meter hoses on. Put the radiator in. I'm not gonna fill it up with coolant in case we do something wrong. We're just gonna do a test fire, and yeah, we'll see if all this work paid off.
Oh yeah, there's a new one.
Alrighty, we got everything on. We got all our coolant hoses, all our accessory belts on. We've got dabs for the valve cover gasket. Now we're gonna go over here, and the valve cover gasket is really simple. I've still got my PCV. Goes in here. All right, and the valve cover gasket goes in real nice and simple. You just put it in here, put it in all the grooves, put it down till it's nice and seated. Here, it's real simple. If I can do it, anyone can do it. All right, so we've got all of our lines connected, everything. We don't have the radiator hooked up here yet because we don't know if we're gonna have to take all this apart. I pray to God we don't, but, you know, that's my luck. So I'm gonna go in here and see what we got going on. I'm nervous.
It ain't gonna start. Why your wipers always do that?
I always hit them like that.
This thing makes that little power. Fuck your clutch. Fuck your clutch, I guess.
So this is the fastest I've ever disassembled and reassembled a car in my life. Radiator's back in and bolted up. The hoses are on. I believe Bryce has to put the AC line brackets on and the undertree. And I have to fill it up with coolant, so here goes nothing. And just like that, no more whining. We got coolant in there. Thing's running good. Minty. Ignore the smoking, that's from spilled coolant, but we have ourselves a winner. She's back together and she's running.
Now I'll do a burnout.
Yeah, now do a burnout. So we're gonna clean up all our mess and stuff from working here, get it off the jack, and yeah, we'll go for a test drive.
Dad, if you damn. Keep going.
So there you guys have it, just like that. the MIATA is back together. It's the first time ever that I could say that I took something apart and it didn't end up being like a 3-day ordeal. So, I mean, I'm beyond stoked. As you guys saw from the stunt driver on the closed course that took this thing out, it is ridiculous. It's running better, it's idling smoother and stuff. I'm sure that was just us fixing a couple vacuum leaks here and there. It wasn't necessarily the timing belt kit or anything, but I have a lot of faith in this thing and I'm excited. I'm pumped for race season. So I'll see you guys out there. And until the next one, peace.
How does compression...
As we're tearing apart a whole engine.
We don't need to know
how do engines work?
We don't know how, you don't need to know how the engines work to do this. You need bigger than that. Man's got the fancy shit. You didn't buy the Harbor Freight shit like I do.
Please help. I am under the water. I am under the water. Please help.